Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unlocking the biological survival secrets of plants. From scorching, blistering sands to freezing mountain peaks and even down into the watery depths, plants are literally nature's ultimate survivors. Let's find out exactly how they pull this off.
Here's our global travel itinerary for today. We'll start with the fight for survival, then move on to terrestrial tacticians, coastal and plain survivors, aquatic adaptations, and finally wrap it up with nature's ultimate blueprint.
So, let's jump right into part 1, the fight for survival, extreme measures. Seriously, take a second and imagine this. You're rooted to one single spot. You can't move, you can't run away, and suddenly your environment completely deprives you of your most basic essential nutrients. It's a literal life or death situation. So what absolute extreme lengths would you go to just to survive? Well, for some plants, the answer is genuinely shocking.
When the soil just doesn't have the nutrients they need, some plants actually turn to hunting. Yeah, you heard that right. Take the pitcher plant, for example. It is a fully insectivorous or carnivorous plant. Its leaf is shaped exactly like a pitcher with a little lid on top, and it's brightly colored for one very specific reason: to lure in hungry bugs. The second an insect lands inside, boom, the lid snaps shut, trapping the bug where digestive juices immediately go to work. Along with the sundew and the famous Venus flytrap, these plants have literally adapted to kill and digest live prey just to survive their harsh environments.
And you know what's really fascinating? The human reaction to all this. When John Ellis, a guy working for the East India Company, first stumbled upon the Venus flytrap, the idea of a plant actively moving to catch a living animal was just so unbelievable to him. He was absolutely shocked. He immediately fired off a letter describing this bizarre plant to the famous botanist Carl Linnaeus. It completely shattered the rules of what humans thought plants were actually capable of doing. Now, to really wrap our heads around why a plant would become a full-on predator, we have to look at their habitats. A habitat is just the natural home of a plant or animal where it lives and survives. And the Earth? Well, it's covered in wildly different environmental conditions. We're talking everything from blistering heat to freezing cold, totally different soils, and crazy variations in rainfall. To survive all these extremes, plants are basically forced to develop highly specialized features.
Which brings us to Section 2, Terrestrial Tacticians, Conquering the Land.
Let's think about deserts for a second. They get absolutely incredibly scanty rainfall, sometimes not at all, making water scarcity a daily life-or-death reality. But the cactus solves this puzzle with a brilliant multi-layered defense. First off, it doesn't even have normal leaves. They've been reduced to sharp spines. This totally prevents water loss through the stomata and, as a bonus, keeps thirsty animals away. Second, those thick, green, fleshy stems you see, they actually take over the job of making food through photosynthesis, all while storing up precious water for long droughts. And finally, hidden right beneath the surface, there's this vast network of wide, deep roots acting like a giant sponge, just waiting to soak up any rare drops of moisture that hit the soil.
But here's the catch. This really highlights the sheer patience required to live in such an extreme habitat. Because resources are so incredibly scarce, all these amazing adaptations take a massive toll on the plant's growth speed. To put that into perspective, a cactus out in the Arizona desert takes 10 whole years just to grow one single inch. Seriously, 10 years for 1 inch of growth. It is an incredibly slow, methodical masterclass in pure survival.
Now let's contrast two entirely different land extremes to see how wildly these strategies can diverge. Think about hilly areas with freezing climates and heavy winter snows. Trees there, like the pine, grow tall to catch maximum sunlight, and they're shaped exactly like a cone. Why? So heavy snow just slides right off instead of snapping the branches. Plus, their needle-shaped leaves are coated in wax to lock in moisture. But then, jump over to the marshlands. Marshes have this sticky, clay-heavy, waterlogged soil that contains almost zero air. A pine tree would literally suffocate there. So what does the mangrove do? It adapts by growing breathing roots, also known as pneumatophores, straight up into the air, above the water level, so the plant can actually breathe. Nature is just incredibly resourceful.
All right, moving into Section 3, Coastal and Plains Survivors, Weathering the Elements.
Out in the plains, the climate is definitely more moderate, but plants still have to strategize for changing seasons. And nature tackles this in two very distinct ways. You have deciduous trees, like teak and maple, which are basically tactical retreaters. They shed their leaves entirely in autumn to conserve energy and hold on to moisture through the cold, dry winter months. On the flip side, you've got evergreen trees, like mahogany and rosewood. These are your year-round warriors.
They have dense foliage that stays green and actively works throughout the entire year, no matter the season. Now, coastal regions throw a totally different set of headaches at plants. We're talking sandy soil, super salty water, and relentless high ocean winds. But the coconut tree thrives here. It handles the wind by having a highly flexible trunk that can bend way over without snapping during heavy coastal storms. And its most mind-blowing adaptation? The way it reproduces. Its fruits and seeds are naturally buoyant, practically designed to be swept up by the sea. They literally use ocean currents to carry themselves miles and miles away to sprout on distant, uncrowded beaches.
So the big takeaway here is that adaptations aren't just about dealing with the weather or the soil. They're also about active defense against predators. Structural adaptations aren't always passive either. Take the touch-me-not plant, for example. It has this incredibly dynamic defense mechanism. The very second it gets touched, its leaves rapidly fold up and close. This sudden, jerky movement startles and scares off animals looking for a quick snack, which just proves that plants can actively react to their environment in real time. No running required. Okay, let's hold our breath for Section 4, Aquatic Adaptations, Mastering the Water.
Think about fixed aquatic plants, like the beautiful water lily or the lotus. Their roots are anchored firmly in the mud at the very bottom of a pond. So, to survive, they shoot these hollow, super flexible stems all the way up to the surface. These stems bend perfectly with strong water currents, so they never snap. And once they reach the surface, they grow those incredibly broad, flat leaves to catch as much sunlight as possible. Critically, these leaves have a thick, waxy coating to stop them from rotting while constantly sitting in the water. Oh, and their stomata? They are exclusively on the upper surface, allowing them to exchange gases directly with the open air.
But hey, what if you aren't stuck to the bottom? Floating plants, like duckweed and water hyacinth, have stems that act exactly like built-in life jackets. They're thick, spongy, and totally filled with air, making them so incredibly light that they float effortlessly while their roots just hang loosely in the water below. And then there's the complete opposite, fully submerged plants like tapegrass, which operate in basically an alien world underwater. They don't have any stomata at all, none. Instead, they breathe entirely through internal air spaces hidden within their stems, absorbing the carbon dioxide that aquatic animals, like fish and turtles, breathe out. It's the ultimate underwater recycling system.
Finally, we arrive at Section 5, Nature's Ultimate Blueprint, Form Follows Environment.
When we pull all of these different environments together, one absolute rule emerges. In biology, form completely follows environment. The habitat entirely dictates the physical structure of the plant. Think about it. A cactus simply cannot grow in a marsh because its deep, water-seeking roots would just drown. A mangrove could never survive the desert because those amazing breathing roots need waterlogged clay, not dry sand. A pine tree's cone shape is completely useless underwater, just as a water lily's flexible, hollow stem couldn't possibly hold up under the crushing weight of heavy terrestrial snow. Nature has provided a perfectly customized blueprint for literally every single extreme condition on this earth.
So I want to leave you with this final parting thought. The next time you step outside, I want you to take a much closer look at the trees, the shrubs, or even just the tiny weeds growing up through the cracks in the pavement in your own neighborhood. Based on everything we've uncovered in this explainer today, ask yourself, what invisible battles are they fighting right now? And what secret adaptations are they hiding in plain sight just to survive for one more day? Thanks so much for joining me today, and hey, keep exploring.